I was just holding it and it broke. Okay, hey, welcome back. We got all the bolts and everything cleaned and sorted out. And what we did is we spent some time in the parts washer, cleaning them all up, and then we soaked these in the sonic cleaner for about 4 cycles. It actually gets so hot that you can't even stick your hand in there. But we got them nice and clean, and then blew them all off with air, and then we just sprayed a real uh, thin coat of liquid wrench on them, and then dabbed them dry so they don't rust, so we don't get any rust on the threads or anything. Some of these we'll have to do the wire wheel, so that's some Loctite on there. We'll explain all that in a second, but just looking at this looks pretty chaotic, but believe it or not, I know where all these bolts go. I've done this enough times where this is pretty easy stuff. But if you're not familiar with this, all you got to do is bag them and tag them. Each time you remove some bolts, just label them in a baggie and set them off to the side. And whatever you do, don't abbreviate anything on the bag. Just go ahead and write it out exactly where they go, or you can take some really nice digital photos. So just to show you, like these here, this is for the this holds the timing cover housing onto the cam towers, and they put a little bit of Loctite on those to keep them from backing out, so they don't back into the cam sprocket. These here are your cam sprocket bolts. We got the tower bolts over here, and I'm going to show you this. This is something we'll probably have to address sooner or later. That right there is aluminum from the head. So that bolt was stripped out, and I can actually spin that aluminum. It's one solid piece. I can spin that on those threads. You can see it's coming off there. But we're going to clean that up, and we'll have to figure out which bolt hole that happened to, and we're going to fix that before we assemble the motor. This is your bolts that go onto the plate that bolts onto the front of the motor that your motor mount bolts onto. This is for the tensioner, exhaust manifold bolts. There's intake manifold bolts over here. All kind of fun things. Here's some of our plugs that we're going to use, and we're actually going to use one of these. I want to show you a little trick with that, and all kind of stuff. This is the 2.3 oil pump mounting stuff, and with the or hardware rather, with the Wendy's tray and everything. And this is a baffle that goes inside the block, so whenever the oil drains back from the air oil separator, it doesn't splash onto the rotating assembly, so it hits this baffle, drips onto the side of the block, and it runs into the oil pan. So there's water pump housing bolts over here and all kind of stuff going on. So now what the topic of this video is this little project here. If you remember our last video, we talked about drilling and tapping a couple bolt holes up here, and there's also an 1/8" pipe plug over here we have to tap. So what we're using is a M8 by 1.25 bolt. That's a very common bolt. It's all these ones for the timing housing, or sorry, the timing housing cover. They're too small, but these ones here, that's your typical bolt right there. So we're not going to be able to use any of these. We'll have to buy the hardware. That's okay. We'll do that. And you can see I got this one here done, and it's already drilled and tapped, and you can see we have a little bit of play there, and that's what we want. We don't want that bound up. We can enlarge that a little bit if we have to. The Wendy's tray, we can enlarge that opening if we have to a little bit. In fact, back here we're going to have to open this up, create a windowed opening in this, and we may have to do that over here too. It depends on how deep we get this plug. Sometimes you have to trim this off a little bit too, and of course we'll use some Loctite on our bolts to hold those down. So subject of this video is this little bolt hole right here. We're going to show you how to do this from start to finish, okay? And it's actually really easy. So it's something you can do. Move that over. That's the bolt hole there that gets the 1/8" pipe plug, and we're going to do that off camera. But the only thing you have to watch with that is that whenever you start drilling, that the bit doesn't catch and maybe snap off, or doesn't throw the drill out of your hand. But it's a smaller bit, so usually it breaks off if it catches. So a moderate speed, and just move very slowly, and we'll drill and tap that off camera. So this one here is already done. where we're drilling. There's a webbing in the block here, so we don't have to worry about busting into any water passages or oil passages, anything like that. There's plenty of room in there. You can see we got it scribed. We got, let's go over here. So we got the carbide scribe. Whatever you do, pick one of these up. They're wonderful to use. You don't need it that often, but whenever you need it, it really comes in handy. And then another thing I wanted to show you is these things here. This is a holder for a tap, and there's different sizes. They come in a kit. I think Lyle makes these, but they have a square recess down inside there to hold the tap. So you turn that and place that in there. There we go, and that holds the tap. This is a 1/4 inch drive. Some of them, like this 1/8 inch pipe plug, that's 3/8 drive. And then of course we're going to use a reducer. We'll put that in there. Here, let's do it that way. Whoop, one more time. Try and do this one hand. Here we go. There we go. So we'll just ratchet that in nice and smooth. So we'll show you how that works. And we have our 7/64 bit on here, and you can see I put a little bit of tape on there because I want to go down to where just a little bit below. See right there, that end of the tab is even with the end of the bit. You can see the thread stop just a little bit shy of this tape, so we're going to go just a little bit deeper. And when we touch the tape, then we're done drilling. It's real easy. All right, without further ado, let's get started. And this cast, it drills really easy. You can see we got our mark on there, our bullseye. Let me move this back a little bit so get you guys going here. There we go. So first things first, let's give it a little love tap, center punch it. Maybe you center punch these to just place it down like this. The center punch kind of hides where the actual tip of it is. So I like to point it here where I can see where the center of the punch is, and then rock it up into position. One solid tap, and that looks good. And let's get drilling. Alright. What I have to be careful of is that I don't drill at that angle, this angle. I'm going to try and drill as straight down as I can. Of course, if we had a real nice machine shop, we could do this perfectly. But, this has always been good enough as long as we're careful and watch our angle. All right. If you got headphones on, you may want to watch your volume. Just making sure that drills right in the center, and it is. And I'm watching my angle because before I get too deep, I want to be able to correct that if I'm starting to rock to one side or the other. And it's looking pretty good so far. And we're there. All right, next, normally you take some special lubricant you'd use on a tap, but because this cast is so soft, and you can see just how easily that drilled. It really didn't take very much time at all. Just gonna use a little bit of motor oil in there. And this makes this real nice. Starting, eyeball, we want the tap to start nice and straight. It's looking pretty good. straight. That's going in nice and straight. I've seen guys use, is that going in straight? Yep. I've seen guys use impacts to drive these in, but I don't trust myself to use an impact, and that is not going straight. So we're going to try that again before it gets too deep. Or is it going straight? It's hard to tell from this angle. Second. Yeah, we're hooked up. Yeah, that's good. Okay. That looked a little crooked for a second. You see how easy that cast iron tap. Whatever you do, get yourself a good quality tap. If you're going to do this kind of stuff. Worst thing in the world is getting down in there and breaking a tap. It never breaks the top, it always breaks the bottom where you have to drill it. And that is just cutting out like butter. And that's about bottomed out there, so good. And what we're going to do, which I forgot to do, is we're going to blow that out with air, and that might allow us to get an extra thread or so down inside there. And we can buy our hardware, custom length and everything. That's not a problem. Yeah, 10 millimeter or 20 millimeter length. Your eyeballs. All right, let's try this again. I didn't see anything come out, but maybe we'll get a little bit more in there, a little bit deeper. Yeah, a little bit. Look at that. Getting that debris out of there. We got about an extra turn or so out of it. That is good. Then, whenever we put our bolts in there, first thing we do is run them down in and bottom them out and make sure that they're gonna bottom all the way out and tighten up. We don't want to get in there where a situation where we have to try and put washers underneath and all that kind of stuff. I've done that before, and it's okay to do, but would just prefer not to. And let's grab a bolt of the appropriate size and start in our hole. That just screws in there like butter. That's exactly what we want. Perfect. All right, so we got one more hole to drill and tap. It's over here, and this block will actually be ready to go to the machine shop. And then we just gotta wait on some parts, and then once the parts get here, the new pistons, then we'll ship everything off to the machine shop. We'll send the crank over, the connecting rods, and we'll show you all that stuff. But what do you call it? Whenever we're getting ready to do the rest of the modifications on the oil pump pickup and the oil pump and the oil pan, we'll show you that in some other videos. But thanks for watching. Like and subscribe.